Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Chenny from Goldfinger Holdings. I'm the product manager of TestRay app inside Jira. Welcome to today's micro webinar. Today, I'm going to talk about fault traceability between requirement, test case, test executions, and defects. So here, actually, this is my demo environment. So let's open one of my project. And then first of all, let us check how we do traceability from requirement. So here I want to show a traceability matrix. So you can just go ahead and go to this traceability page. So let me explain a little bit for this. So this is our traceability matrix. We use some GQL search to filter the requirements from a specific sprint. Of course, you can also use status, priority, version, or whatever. We support all these. And once the result is displayed, it will be a matrix. So what information you can read from this matrix? So the first column is the requirement I just filtered out. You see there is one story, purchase ticket, and there are some dev tasks. So the second column are the test cases created from dev team, from QA team to cover these requirement. And then the third column is a test plan from where the test case executed. If you see these different colored blocks, it means the results. So red means it is failed. If you click on that, it will take you to the execution details window. You can see the result and one executed and the defect, etc. All this information. So let me just summarize. From this traceability matrix, you can read the test cases information from the requirement and then the execution result from each different test plan and cycles. And here, if you see a bug icon, click on that, you will get the defect information. So just in this one table, you can get all these quite useful information from requirement to result to defect, etc. So this is actually one of our traceability metrics. If I just open one of my requirement, let's see how traceability can be done inside your requirement issue. So here I'm using story as my requirement issue type. So if I scroll down a little bit, first of all, you will see requirement hierarchy. So you can get the parent requirement information and also the child requirement created from this particular story or the requirement. And then if you go down to this test case panel, you will see all the test cases created to cover this particular requirement or story. If you want to get more information about, okay, this test case is quite important. So what is the latest result? That is kind of traceability from requirement to test result, right? You can simply expand this test case, and then the result will be listed here. So the latest result will be on the top, and then the second test plan, etc. So let's say here, one of the execution is failed. You may want to check further about which step is failed, or if there were any screenshot there. Just simply click on this result. You will get test case run details dialog box. Here is when the execution is down and which defect is there, and even more which step is failed. So all this information, they are connected together. And if you go to here, you see the defect reported from this particular test plan. That means these defects from some of the test cases from this particular test plan. So this is the traceability from requirement to test case to execution result and to defect. Think about that. You may have an epic with hundreds of test cases, right? You only want to trace how many defects are there and what are the status for these defects. And then on the right side, we have a defect panel to centrally show all defects reported against these test cases. Means these defects are also impacted by the execution, and these defects will impact this particular requirement. So traceability is established like requirement, test case, result, and defect. So this is from a single requirement. Now let's see if we open a test case, let's see what other traceability information we can get, right? When you open your test case, user usually want to say, okay, from which feature or from which requirement the test case is created, or the purpose of this test case means which requirement is covered by this particular test case. And then if you scroll down on the right side, you will see a requirement panel. It will give you a clearly information about which requirement is covered by the steps in this particular test case. And sometimes we also want to know, okay, we know that the test case has been executed many times from each different test plans, like regression test plan, functionality testing, or in each iteration of the sprint. We have done a lot of testing, right? We want to see the execution history and the defect. So if you scroll down on the right side, we have a test plan panel to show the execution history. Similarly, if you click on this result, it will take you to execution details dialog box, and all information is displayed here. It's quite easy and clear. And if you want to see all the defects reported against this particular test case, just go to this view all defects. If you click on that, you see here the defect will be listed in this dialog box. So you can read, okay, what is a defect and the defect priority, status, resolution, etc. So these are connected. So let me summarize. From test case, you are able to trace your requirement, your execution result, and defect reported from this particular test case. Okay, now let me open a defect to see what kind of traceability information we can get, right? So this is a defect I reported from a single execution. If I scroll down and on the right side here, you will see a test case panel. So from here, you can read, okay, this defect is reported during the execution of these two test cases. And here, run ID, the hyperlink shows the execution details. If you click on that, you will see, okay, during the execution of this test case, and the result is found, and here is a defect. And even more, if you have some attachment, screenshot, or logs, you can upload all this information to this execution window, and this window can be launched from the single defect. So when the developer is going to fix issue, it's quite easy for him to read the execution information in order to find the root cause of this issue. And you see, once a defect is reported, we also want to know which requirement is impacted by this issue or the problem, right? So this information is also connected inside TestRay. So you see here, we have a requirement column. Here shows the requirement issue key. If you click on this requirement here as a task issue type will be launched. And then here you see the defect information is also listed. So we connected all these three items, or you can see 4 items together: requirement, test case, executions, and defect. When you open your test case, you can read the other 2, like requirement and defect. When you launch your defect, you can read other 2 information, requirement and test case information. Definitely, you can also read the execution details information. So this is how we connect 3 items together: requirement, test case, and defects. Actually, if you open any of our test plan, you also can read such kind of information. This is a test plan created from TestRay. You can get all the test cases involved in this plan, and also you can get the requirement covered from this particular test plan. If you click on this plan coverage, you will see the test cases created from the requirement is added and executed from this particular test plan. So if you click on this execution coverage, you will see the same set of test cases which were developed for the corresponding requirement be executed from each different cycles, and the results are recorded separately. For example, let's see this one. FIS 17, it is a test case, and during the Chrome testing, it is blocked. During the Firefox testing, it is passed. And during the Internet Explorer testing, it is still in not tested result. So these are the connections or the traceability between all these 3 items. So actually, if you go to the board, we also have such kind of connection. For example, here, I have some user stories like this one. If you scroll down, you still can see this requirement hierarchy. And if you scroll down again, you will see the test cases from this particular user story or the requirement. That means when the team is on the board, from the board, such kind of traceability is also visible directly. And even more, if you click on this test info icon, click on that, it will give you test results from the requirement. So this is another place to do traceability from this requirement to test cases and to each of different results. So this is from Agile board, because Agile board is used quite frequently by any dev team inside Jira. That's why TestRay also support to get such kind of traceability from your story to your test activities to your defects, etc. Yeah, it's pretty much for today's webinar. If you have any question or you want to learn more about our TestRay app, feel free to send an email to sales@gofingerholdings.com. Thank you.